My family auctioned off my belongings while I was in the hospital fighting for my life. When I survived, I bought everything they own and sent them eviction notices. Let's make this moment special. Subscribe if you believe in stories like this and tell us your city in the comments below. I was 28 when my heart stopped beating for the first time. Not metaphorically, literally stopped. I remember the crushing pressure in my chest during that Thursday morning meeting, how my assistant Kathleen's face went pale as I collapsed. The ambulance ride was a blur of sirens and desperate voices. Stay with us, Imani. Stay with us. 3 cardiac arrests in 2 hours. The doctors told my family I had a 5% chance of survival. My older brother Henry called our mother first. Then my sister Amelia. My uncle Vincent. My cousin Julia. They all rushed to Chicago Memorial Hospital, filling the waiting room with their tears and prayers. Or so I thought. I was in an induced coma, hooked to machines that breathed for me while my family gathered around my hospital bed. My mother, Lorraine, held my hand and whispered, "You're strong, baby. You're a fighter." What I didn't know then, what I couldn't have imagined, was that while they stood vigil during visiting hours, they were already planning. My 2-bedroom condo in Lincoln Park, filled with everything I'd worked for. My grandmother's antique furniture. My late father's vinyl collection. The artwork I'd collected. My designer clothes. My jewelry. Even my car. Henry was the first to say it during a hushed conversation in the hospital cafeteria. "She's not going to make it. We should be practical." Practical. That's the word they used while I lay fighting for each breath. I learned about their conversations from hospital security footage later. Much later. They thought they were being discreet, huddled in corners, speaking in low voices. But hospitals have cameras everywhere and I had friends in unexpected places. Kathleen, my assistant, never left. She slept in the waiting room when they wouldn't let her into ICU. She saw everything. "Your mom asked me for your condo keys," Kathleen told me later, her voice cracking. "Said she needed to get you fresh clothes." I believed her, Imani. God help me, I believed her. My mother took those keys and made copies for everyone. Henry, Amelia, Vincent, Julia. They all got a set. On day 4 of my coma they started removing items. Small things at first. "Just keeping them safe," Amelia told the building's doorman when he questioned the boxes. "Our sister's very sick." By day 7 they'd cleared out half my condo. My neighbor, Mrs. Sanchez, an elderly white woman who'd always been kind to me, grew suspicious. She called the building manager. "Something's not right. That girl is fighting for her life and they're emptying her home like vultures." The manager, Lucas Gardner, checked the security footage. He saw them laughing while loading my grandmother's china cabinet into a U-Haul. Laughing. He called Kathleen immediately. "You need to see this," he said. "And you need to stop them." Kathleen acted fast. She contacted my lawyer, Sterling Hayes, a sharp brother I'd worked with on business contracts. Sterling got a temporary restraining order within hours, but by then the damage was extensive. They'd taken nearly everything of value. My designer handbags alone were worth $40,000. Gone. My grandmother's engagement ring, a 2-carat diamond from 1952, gone. My father's first edition James Baldwin collection, gone. But the restraining order stopped them from taking more. It didn't stop what came next. On day 12 of my coma, while my heart slowly learned to beat steadily again, they held an estate sale. Not a garage sale. A professional estate sale, advertised on Facebook Marketplace and local selling groups. Medical emergency forces family to liquidate beloved sister's possessions. Everything must go. They made $63,000. Kathleen discovered this by tracking the Facebook post. People were posting photos. Look at this gorgeous mid-century credenza I got for only $300. My credenza. The one I'd saved for 6 months to buy. Some vintage dealer bought my father's entire vinyl collection. Over 500 records. For $2,000. Records worth at least 20 grand. Sterling documented everything. Screenshots, receipts, witness statements. Mrs. Sanchez gave a detailed account. Lucas Gardner provided security footage. We built a case while I floated in medically induced darkness, unaware that my family wasn't just betraying me, they were erasing me. I woke up on day 15. The breathing tube came out and the first face I saw was Kathleen's. She was crying, holding my hand. You're awake. Thank God you're awake. Her tears weren't entirely from relief. I could see something else in her eyes. Fear. Sadness. Bigger. Pie family. I whispered, my throat raw. Kathleen's expression crumbled. Imani, I need to tell you something. But first you need to know you're going to be okay. The doctors say you're going to fully recover. Where's my mother? They're not here right now. Imani, listen. That's when Sterling arrived. He'd been waiting for me to wake up. He sat down carefully, his usually confident demeanor subdued. Imani, I'm going to be straight with you. While you were in the coma, your family accessed your condo. They removed your possessions and sold them. The words didn't make sense. What do you mean, sold them? They held an estate sale. They made over $60,000 selling your belongings. Sterling pulled out his tablet, showing me screenshots. Photos of my furniture in strangers' homes. My clothes on random people's backs. My grandmother's china set on someone's dinner table. I stared at the images, my new heart, still healing, still learning, hammering against my chest. They thought I was dying, I whispered. So they just took everything? They didn't wait to find out, Kathleen said bitterly. They decided you were dead before you actually were. My mother arrived that evening. She walked into my hospital room with Amelia, both carrying flowers and wearing expressions of relief. Oh, thank Jesus, Lorraine said, rushing toward my bed. Baby, you're awake. We've been so worried. I looked at her. Just looked. She faltered mid-step. Imani? Baby, what's wrong? Where's my grandmother's ring? I asked quietly. My voice was weak, but the words were clear. The color drained from her face. Amelia suddenly became very interested in the flowers she was holding. What are you talking about? Lorraine asked. Grandma Rose's engagement ring. The one Daddy gave me before he died. The one he said was for me to pass down to my daughter someday. Where is it? Imani, you're confused from the medication. Where is my ring? The heart monitor started beeping faster. A nurse rushed in. You need to leave, the nurse said firmly to my mother and sister. She needs to stay calm. We're her family, Amelia started. Get out. I'd never heard my voice sound like that. Told Heart, get out before I have security remove you. Lorraine's face twisted with guilt and anger. You ungrateful child. After everything we've done. Everything you've done? I laughed and it hurt. You sold my life while I was dying. Get out. They left. My mother was crying, but I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. The nurse checked my vitals while Kathleen held my hand. That took guts, she whispered. Recovery was brutal. Physical therapy, medications, counseling. But the hardest part was learning the full extent of the betrayal. Sterling brought me detailed reports as soon as the doctors cleared me for stressful conversations. It's worse than we initially thought, he said, spreading documents across my hospital bed table. They'd accessed my bank accounts. Henry, who I'd foolishly listed as an emergency contact with my bank, had convinced them I'd authorized him to access my accounts for medical expenses. He withdrew $47,000. My savings. The money I'd carefully accumulated over 6 years of working 60-hour weeks as a marketing director. How is that legal? I asked, staring at the withdrawal slips. It's not, Sterling said. It's fraud. But that's not all. He showed me credit card statements. Amelia had somehow gotten my credit card information and charged $23,000. Designer bags, shoes, a weekend trip to Miami. She posted the photos on Instagram, Sterling said, disgust evident. While you were in a coma. Vincent, my uncle, had taken my car. Simply driven it away from my building's parking garage. The security footage showed him laughing with Julia as they loaded boxes into my BMW. My paid-off BMW that I'd worked 3 jobs to afford. The total loss is approximately $218,000, Sterling said. Including property value, cash, unauthorized charges, and the vehicle. I've filed police reports, but Imani, I need to ask you something important. He leaned forward. How far do you want to take this? I looked Sterling dead in the eye. I want everything. Every single thing they took from me or the equivalent value. And I want them to hurt the way they tried to make sure I'd have nothing if I survived. Sterling smiled grimly. That's what I was hoping you'd say. I've already started digging into their finances. Your brother Henry? He's been living beyond his means. He's drowning in debt, but he owns a nice 3-bedroom house in Bronzeville. Bought it 5 years ago, still has a substantial mortgage. Your sister Amelia rents a townhouse in Hyde Park, but she's got assets. Jewelry, a car she's still paying off, designer everything. And my mother? Sterling's expression softened slightly. Your mother owns her home outright. It's the house you grew up in, worth about $350,000 in the current market. She's on a fixed income from your father's life insurance and Social Security. Imani, she's not wealthy, but she's comfortable. She coordinated this entire thing, I said flatly. She gave everyone keys to my place. She's the one who authorized the estate sale company. I saw the contract, her signature is on it. I know. Sterling pulled out more papers. I've also found something interesting. They haven't spent all the money they stole from you. Henry put $30,000 into a savings account. Amelia bought a car, a brand new Mercedes. Your uncle Vincent paid off his gambling debts. Julia bought furniture for her apartment. They divided my life between them like I was already in the ground, I whispered. What's our next move? 2 days before my hospital discharge, someone unexpected visited. Jerome Mitchell. My ex-boyfriend from 3 years ago. We'd dated for 2 years before he moved to New York for a job opportunity. We'd stayed friends, following each other's lives on social media, occasionally texting on holidays. I saw your mother's Facebook posts, Jerome said, sitting carefully in the visitor's chair. All these sympathy posts about how hard it was watching you in the hospital, how grateful she was for everyone's prayers. Then I saw your neighbor Mrs. Sanchez's comment calling her out. I called Kathleen. She told me everything. I was surprised. You didn't have to come all the way from New York. Yes, I did. Jerome leaned forward and I recognized the expression on his face, the one he got when he was about to do something decisive. I'm a forensic accountant now, Imani. I track money for a living. And I want to help you track yours. What Jerome discovered over the next 72 hours was damning. He traced every dollar my family had taken. He found bank statements they thought were hidden, social media posts they deleted, messages between them discussing how to split the money. He even found group texts from before I'd woken up, discussing whether they should pull the plug to speed things along. They literally discussed letting you die, Jerome said, his voice shaking with rage. Your mother, Henry, Amelia. They were in a group chat debating whether to authorize the doctors to stop life support. I read the messages he'd recovered. Henry, the doctors say she's not improving. Maybe we should consider letting her go peacefully. My mother, she wouldn't want to live like this. It's what's best. Emilia, we need to think about this practically. The medical bills are piling up. I left the hospital 3 weeks after waking up. I was weak, had a new medication regimen and physical therapy appointments scheduled for months. But I was alive, aware, and absolutely done with being a victim. Sterling and Jerome had been working around the clock while I recovered. Now, sitting in Sterling's office, they presented me with a strategy that was both brilliant and brutal. We can pursue criminal charges for theft, fraud, and identity theft, Sterling said. But that takes time and there's no guarantee they'll serve actual jail time or that you'll recover your full losses. However, I have another suggestion. Jerome pulled up a spreadsheet. Your family members are all financially vulnerable in different ways. Henry's house. He owes $230,000 on a mortgage for a property worth $375,000. He's been late on payments 4 times this year. The bank would love a reason to foreclose or accept a buyout. Emilia's lease is up in 2 months and she's already failed to pay rent twice. Vincent is being sued by 3 creditors. Julia just bought a new condo with almost no down payment. What are you suggesting? I asked, though I was beginning to understand. Sterling smiled. We buy their debt. We become their landlord. We become their creditors. And then we give them a choice. Return what they stole or face the consequences. That's even possible? Not only possible but legal, Sterling said. Debt gets bought and sold every day. Property gets foreclosed and sold at auction constantly. Your family made one critical mistake. They didn't hide their assets well enough because they never thought you'd survive to come after them. The first domino fell within a week. Henry's mortgage holder was thrilled to sell his debt to an investment company, a company I'd formed with Jerome and Sterling's help. We paid $210,000 for a debt of $230,000, effectively owning Henry's mortgage at a discount. The bank was happy to offload a troublesome loan. Henry had no idea until he received a letter informing him that his mortgage had been transferred to a new servicer, Resilient Holdings LLC. What the hell is Resilient Holdings? Henry called our mother, not knowing I was listening to a recording later. They're demanding I pay the 4 missed payments immediately or face foreclosure proceedings. Next was Emilia's car. She'd financed that Mercedes with subprime credit. The dealership's financing arm sold us her loan for $18,000 on a $26,000 debt. We now owned her car note. Then Vincent's debts. 3 different creditors happily sold us his outstanding balances for 60 cents on the dollar. Julia's new condo presented an interesting opportunity. The HOA was already fed up with her. Unpaid dues, complaints from neighbors about noise. We bought her HOA debt and positioned ourselves on the HOA board through a proxy. This is incredible, Kathleen said when I showed her the spreadsheet. You basically own them now. Not yet, I said. This is just phase 1. Phase 2 is where it gets interesting. Jerome had found something beautiful. My mother's house, the one she owned outright, had a reverse mortgage she'd taken out 2 years ago. $50,000 borrowed against the home's value. She was current on the property taxes, but the reverse mortgage company was eager to sell that debt. We bought it. I called a family meeting. Sent a formal letter to each of them. Family gathering requested at Lorraine Freeman's residence, this Saturday at 2 p.m. Attendance is mandatory. Important matters to discuss regarding Imani's recovery and estate. They thought I wanted to reconcile. My mother even called Kathleen, who'd kept her number. Tell Imani I'm so glad she's ready to move past this misunderstanding. We're family. We'll always be family. Saturday came. I arrived in a town car, dressed in a crisp black pantsuit, Sterling and Jerome flanking me. My family was gathered in the living room, the same living room where I'd celebrated Christmases and birthdays, where my father had taught me to play chess, where I'd felt safe once. Imani, baby, my mother stood up, arms outstretched. I'm so glad you're. Sit down, Lorraine. I'd never called my mother by her first name before. She froze. Everyone sit down. This isn't a reconciliation. This is a business meeting. Henry laughed nervously. Business meeting? We're family, not a corporation. You treated me like a business transaction when you sold my life, I said coldly. So now we're going to have a business discussion. Sterling, please distribute the folders. Sterling handed each family member a manila folder. I watched their faces as they opened them. Confusion. Then fear. What is this? Amelia whispered, staring at her car loan documents with Resilient Holdings LC stamped across them. That, I said, is your new reality. I own your debts. I own your mortgages. I own your financial futures. And now we're going to discuss repayment terms. Henry found his voice first. You can't do this. This is blackmail. It's capitalism, Jerome said calmly. Debt gets bought and sold every day. Your sister simply participated in the market. My terms are simple, I continued. You have 3 options. Option 1. Return everything you took from me. Every item, every dollar, every cent. You have 72 hours. That's impossible, Amelia said. We don't have it anymore. Then option 2. You pay me the full value of everything you stole. $218,000, plus interest and emotional damages. We've calculated a total of $300,000. You have 30 days to secure financing and pay in full. The room erupted. $300,000? We don't have that kind of money. Julia shouted. My mother was crying. Vincent looked like he might have a heart attack himself. I held up my hand. Silence fell. Option 3. I foreclose on Henry's house. I repossess Amelia's car. I demand immediate payment from Vincent's creditors. Me, which will result in wage garnishment and potential bankruptcy. I force Julia's condo into HOA foreclosure. And Lorraine. I turned to my mother. I call the reverse mortgage on your house. You'll have 30 days to vacate the home you raised me in. You wouldn't, my mother whispered. I'm your mother. You're the woman who gave birth to me, I corrected. A mother doesn't auction off her daughter's life before she's even dead. I stood up. You have 24 hours to decide which option you're choosing. After that, I begin legal proceedings. Sterling will be your point of contact. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my new apartment. Yes, I've moved. You'll never know where. Communicate through my lawyer or face immediate execution of option 3. 6 months later, I sat in my new high-rise apartment in the Gold Coast, looking out at Lake Michigan. The view was spectacular. Floor-to-ceiling windows, hardwood floors. A kitchen that actually had counter space. It was smaller than my old place but somehow felt bigger. Lighter. Free. My family chose a combination of options 1 and 2. Henry sold his house. I bought it at auction for $260,000 and immediately resold it for $370,000, recovering my losses plus extra. Amelia returned the Mercedes and I sold it. Vincent entered a payment plan that would take him 5 years to complete. Julia moved back home with her parents in shame. My mother lost her house. She now lives in a small apartment in a less expensive neighborhood, surviving on Social Security. I felt no guilt. Sterling warned me I might, but I didn't. Every time I thought about feeling bad, I remembered those text messages. Should we pull the plug? She wouldn't want to live like this. Let's be practical. My health improved steadily. The cardiologist said I was a medical miracle. Your heart essentially remodeled itself, Dr. Stevens said during a recent checkup. You're one of the lucky ones. Lucky. I'd survived death, betrayal, and the complete destruction of my life by people who were supposed to love me. But I'd rebuilt. Stronger. Wiser. Freed from the weight of obligation to people who saw me as an asset to liquidate rather than a human being to love. Kathleen visited often. Jerome stayed in Chicago and we'd been slowly rebuilding what we once had, taking it slow. Mrs. Sanchez became like a grandmother to me. Sterling was now one of my closest friends. I'd found my real family, the people who showed up when I was dying and fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Your birthday is next week. I'd like to see you. I deleted it. Some bridges once burned should stay ashes. I'd survived, thrived, and learned the most valuable lesson of all. Family isn't blood. Family is who stands beside your hospital bed and refuses to let you be erased.